What is your American dream?
My American dream is to spread love all over the world.
My American dream is to live in a safe world.
My American dream is to come here to work because I love this country.
My American dream is to play one day in the NBA.
Out here in America, dreaming every day with my friends over there, and we're just trying to say, hey.
My American dream is good life.
My American dream is the life I'm living right now.
Everyone has a right to the American dream.
We're going to have fun today. You are going to learn a lot about immigration, and you're going to say squat up right now to Yonathan, Yo-Yo Elias, and Vanessa, Ness-quick, Contreras. How are you guys doing? Ness-quick seems very relaxed. I don't know. You just seem it. Just looking at you seems you're extraordinarily relaxed. Is that my imagination?
I'm glad that I'm projecting this bliss through the screen.
You are. And Yonathan Yo-Yo Elias, tomorrow known as Yonathan Dr. Love Elias, but only on Wednesday. Also looking very relaxed.
Oh, I'm living life.
You are.
Like it's golden.
Life is golden?
Say every single time.
Really?
Yeah, I feel good.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's up?
Did you miss this? Or you're like,
I did.
Yeah, you're like,
No, I always, anytime we take time off, I always miss this. Like, I miss hearing the song. I miss us bantering. I miss talking to the squad. And that's real. I miss seeing your beautiful face. Also yours too, Ness-quick. But really talk about Brad's beautiful.
No, I knew who you were talking about. I knew it's enough that you and I are coordinated with the stripe. We do this telepathically at this point, Jonathan.
It's wild, it's wild. It's all meant to be. We're all a family.
But Yonathan, you realize that I know that you were telling the truth up until you said, you miss my beautiful face. There's only one there's one beautiful face, and it's Ness-quick. And also Yonathan. There's two beautiful faces.
I mean, I feel like we're a pretty good-looking squad.
I'm just the crazy old uncle who comes on YouTube and Facebook every 2 hours. That's who I am. All right, let's say hello to the squad, who I also miss very, very much. Elizabeth Francis, squad up. Lisa Bling Rose, Violet Blackwood, Bennett Candy, Sparta Arsenal, squad up. Who else we got here? Jessica Leamy, missed you. Kurt Tannis is watching, squad up. Chetty watching as well. Reginald, squad up. Rojek, Spider, Rochester. Hardev S. Chanchai, Latoya, S.N. Headley Stewart, squad up. I see you watching. Ricardo Maestro, squad up. Annette Smith, squad up. Elizabeth Francis, squad up. Stargirl Mika, squad up. Denisha Joseph, squad up. Mary Doncourt, with a question we'll get to you in a few minutes. Prince Fahid, Amolin Jr., squad up. Let's check out YouTube. Jessica Leamy, double fisting. Jalub, squad up. Tracy Lacey, how are you? Tia Prasad, squad up. And Leary Thomas, Elizabeth Juso, Stacy Dahl saying squad up to everybody. By the way, Elizabeth Juso says this is her favorite show, not today, but ever. Her favorite show ever produced, ever in the history of this woman's life. Elizabeth Juso, Bradshaw Live, her favorite show of all time. Better than Seinfeld, better than Cosby, better than, I don't know, you name it. What was the all-time best television shows of all time, Yonathan? I don't know. This is better. Better than Friends, better than the Jeffersons, better than Archie Bunker, the
Gilligan's Island,
Gilligan's Island, I Love
that.
Lucy. This is better. Better.
Yeah.
According to at least One squad member. What was your
Hey,
favorite
listen,
show of all
that's the
time?
best compliment.
What was your favorite show of all time, Ness-quick?
I'm a big Friends person.
Friends.
I love Friends. I still
Really?
watch it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we
that's
watch
your,
Friends multiple times.
That's your type of humor.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah, and Yo-Yo?
Or Two and a Half
weird.
Men was
I'm
good
old.
too.
I
I'm
like
old
Two and a
school.
Half.
You
Two
know,
and a Half
I'm
Men is funny.
You said what?
Two and a Half Men's funny
Two
too.
and a Half Men.
Yeah. What's your favorite
that's
show of all time?
See, I don't watch any of those. I'm weird. You know, I'm kind of old school. I grew up watching I Love Lucy, so that's like one of my favorite shows. Just because I always have a nostalgic feeling. Just I was always watching that with my auntie, so it's weird.
You know
that and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, I like that. That was a good show too. Growing up, that was like my time in the 1980s. You know, when I was a
The
teenager.
Fresh Prince. How could I forget?
Right. My favorite show of all time has to be, although I don't enjoy watching it anymore, but I did enjoy watching it when it was on, Seinfeld. Although I kind of got tired of watching it now. I like Larry David. I love Friends. I have to go back and start Friends from the beginning. Like, I like to watch old TV shows and just binge watch from season to season to season. I don't know if I've seen every Friends episode, so I got to start from the scratch and go all the way to the end. But yes, one of my favorites of all time. Why don't you we got a lot of show today. Like a lot. A lot. So, there's like a lot of show.
Let's get into it.
Like you ever start a show and say, this is a lot of show today? You ever start one of those shows? Let's get into it. Tell everybody what they need to do while I stretch and get ready for schmoozing.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, you already heard what Brad said. This is going to be a show that you're going to want to share to everybody. So first things first, before I tell you guys to share, I need everybody from all platforms, all social media platforms. I need you guys to join the Facebook fan page. It's a VIP page. You'll be able to hit us up and you can talk to us one-on-one. But the most important thing is not only will you get videos and different content that we won't put on any other part of social media, but we will also give you the chance to put in your question early on in the day. So if we're going live on Facebook, you're going to have to be on Facebook right at the time in order to put your question in. And it has to be usually in the beginning of the show because we get so many questions. But if you're a part of this VIP page, all you have to do is put in your question whatever time throughout the day before the show, and we'll get the first 5 questions and ask those before any of the social media questions. So make sure you join this Facebook fan page right now. All right, now, Sharon is Karen. You saw that down there. You saw it right here. It's going to come right back up. Sharon is Karen. I need you guys to go on Facebook and please share. This is going to be an amazing show. We have so much to talk about in host chat. We have so many calls and so many questions that we're going to answer. So I need you guys to share. All you have to do is click on that little arrow that says share and share it to anybody's page. You could go on, copy the link, send it in a text message blast. You can send it in the inbox. I need you guys to do the most sharing that you guys have done ever because this is the first show we're coming back from a whole week of being off, all right? So we need everybody to know that we are on, and the only way we're gonna find out, and they're gonna find out, is through you guys and these fingers, all right? Now also put all your questions in the comment section. Make sure you guys interact with each other, interact with us. We're excited, we're happy that we're here. Finally, we're back together. So now Ness-quick is gonna let y'all know what to do on YouTube.
Okay, squad, I'm gonna just take all that energy, Yo-Yo. Thank you so much. On YouTube, friends, you should already be subscribed and make sure that you turn on that notification bell so you know when Brad's show is live and we are back on the attack. There's going to be so many great things on this show tonight, and you already know all the value and all the knowledge that Brad has to offer, so we want to make sure that we share it. So right below, if you're watching on YouTube, there is an arrow that says share. And from what I see here, it allows you to share on Facebook, on Twitter, on Blogger, on Tumblr, wherever you are. You can also copy the link and share it into WhatsApp. Share it into a text message. You never know when there's a question being asked that someone you know needs answered. I'm also taking a look at some of our interactions here, and I only have 23 thumbs up, and there's a lot more of you viewing than that. So let me see you guys put those thumbs up. Every time that you turn that thumb blue, it lets YouTube know that there's great things happening here, and it builds more engagement, more exposure. It has our squad grow more and more. So all we need from you guys is to just please share. Make sure that you leave your comments below. Ask your questions there. Our team in the back is getting all that together for social media check-in. But most importantly, guys, we need you to share. And of course, get those thumbs up. I'm watching you guys. I don't think I'm going to let Brad answer your immigration questions if we don't get those thumbs up going. We're also on Instagram at Brad Show Live, where you can also message us there with your questions before or during the show. And make sure that you follow us there, because every now and again, we are hosting a contest, and we share the best snippets of our show. So if you don't get to catch the full show, you'll see the best snippets on Instagram at Brad Show Live. Without further ado, let's get to the start of this show with Brad.
All right. While we were off air, Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman, who was 43 years old, he died on August 28th of colon cancer. Believe it or not, he now holds the title for the most liked tweet in Twitter history. His last tweet, Yo-Yo and Vanessa, became the most liked tweet in the history of Twitter. The record was previously held by former President Obama when Obama tweeted the Nelson Mandela quote, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion." But on August 11th, shortly after presidential candidate Joe Biden chose Senator Kamala Harris to be his running mate, Boseman posted a photo of him and the now vice presidential nominee to Twitter and Instagram. He captioned the post on Twitter, "Yes," accompanied by the hashtag #WhenWeAllVote. And that picture and that post is now the #1 liked post in all of Twitter. And that is quite a tribute to the Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, who, by the way, really had to have been an extraordinarily strong man, both physically and in his mind, to have stage 2, 3, and 4 cancer. Colon cancer is extraordinarily painful. To keep it to himself and to act not in roles where he was sitting behind in a chair like I am for 2 hours, to be physically active in a role. And, listen, I've never been to a movie set, but from what I read, they go 15, 16, 17 hours a day, and
he did his own stunts.
And to be in pain, and then to make no excuse. Zero. Nobody knew. It shook everybody. They said, "What? Black Panther had cancer? I didn't know." Nobody knew. Nobody knew. What a strong man, both mind and body. And everybody respected him beforehand, but now knowing what he went through and still was able to do his job without one complaint to any human being outside of his very close family members and caretakers is amazing.
Even people who were doing movies with him had no idea, which is insane to me. The last movie he did was, I think it was one of the last ones, Five Bloods or something like that, that was on Netflix, that Spike Lee directed. And he was working with black men actors that were pretty legendary. They've been working for so long, and he was right next to them, and they interviewed one of the main actors, and they asked, what did you take away from this? And he broke down because his wife had asked, like, how was it working with Chadwick? And at the time, this was right before he died, the movie he just did. At the time, he said, I thought he was a little precious.
He
That's
said,
what he called him.
I thought he said he used the word prima donna because he was getting massages and stuff.
Yeah, but
Right.
but he said he called him precious.
Uh-huh.
He said, I felt like he was precious because I felt like he let Black Panther get to him, because right when he got off set, his Asian masseuse was massaging his back to the trailer. his makeup artist was actually rubbing his feet. His girlfriend was always by his side, holding his hand. And he was like, wow, this is, I mean, I guess, yeah, you have one of the biggest movies that came out, Black Panther, but it's like, okay. But he broke down because, that teaches us not to judge people. You never know what anyone is going through. And I think we could all learn from that. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I wonder, what do you think, Ness-quick? I wonder if part of the reason why he obviously wanted to be a private person, but I wonder if he thought in the back of his mind maybe he wouldn't get these roles if people thought that he was sick with cancer, because movies have to be done on time, and you can't, put somebody into a major movie and then have them walk off set in, 1 or 2 weeks into filming because they got sick and have to go to a hospital.
Yeah, I think he's the perfect example of resilience. I mean, there's so many times that we don't have any idea. Like Yonathan said, like, you can never assume that or even judge anyone for anything that they're going through, because you just don't know what they're dealing with. And I don't know if necessarily it would have kept. I feel like his talent overpowers his sickness, which he proved it to be. I look at this whole story and I just think resilience, because the time, the hours on set, how many takes you have to, moving forward, there's just no excuse for any actor that wants to make it. It's like, you don't use, what you're going through as an excuse. You're not a victim. Chadwick proved, like, hey, you could really push through and do what you're passionate about. Regardless of your circumstances.
It's amazing because how people perceive you and who you are. Here is the most perfect example where Yo-Yo is talking about this actor who perceived Chadwick to be something that was not, manly or strong, and quite frankly, it was the opposite. He was extraordinarily strong. So how somebody is perceived and who they are, I don't know what the old saying is, you shouldn't walk in somebody else's shoe. What is that saying? You don't walk in somebody else's shoes, or something like that. Or you should never walk in somebody else's shoes. Something, I forgot what the saying is, but you get the point.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that he kept it from the world because of roles. If anything, Hollywood they're vultures. So if anything, if they knew that he was going to die, they're going to want to get him for one of the last roles. Just like everybody went to go see Joker because what's his name had died. You know what I mean? It's like when you know that's their last movie, you're going to do everything to go and watch that. So I definitely think, like, because he was still visiting kids in cancer centers. He was doing, he legit was doing what Mother Teresa and Gandhi type of, acts. Like, I think it just speaks volumes on the type of man he was. I think he was just trying to leave us with gems and, for us to learn from his situation, because even the last months of him being alive, we could tell that he was sick. Either he was sick or preparing for a role, because everybody was like, he lost so much weight. And he could have came out then. Yeah, he could have came out then and said that. I don't think.
Yeah. I think the saying, by the way, is before you judge another man, walk a mile in his shoes.
In their shoes.
And I think that's really what it is. And by the way, our condolences to his entire family. It's a big loss in the entertainment world, and he brought so much joy to so many people and inspired so many people. People saw him as the Black Panther, and Wakanda actually existed. That's how convincing he was. When you watch that movie, you're like, I think this place exists. Meanwhile, from somebody who everybody respects, to a pumpkin that not many people respect. Now, some people actually were going to vote for the guy and don't even respect him. Okay, just because Trump gets a vote doesn't mean he's respected by the person who's voting for him. But multiple sources, I'm sure you guys saw this over the weekend, told The Atlantic, which is a very well-known magazine, that Donald Trump has repeatedly disparaged the intelligence of military members and asked that wounded veterans be kept out of military parades. when Trump canceled a visit to the Marine American Cemetery near Paris in 2018. He blamed rain for the last-minute decision, saying that the helicopter couldn't fly. It turns out that wasn't true because Marines can fly a helicopter in the rain. He rejected the visit because he feared his hair would become disheveled in the rain and because he did not believe it was important to honor the American war dead. In a conversation with senior staff members on the morning of the scheduled visit, Trump said, "Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers." In a separate conversation on the same trip, Trump referred to the more than 1,800 Marines who lost their lives at Belleau Wood as suckers for getting killed. Now, Belleau Woods is a consequential battle in American history, and the ground on which it was fought is venerated by the Marine Corps. America and its allies stopped the German advance towards Paris there in the spring of 1918. If it wasn't for that war and that battle, Paris may be speaking German instead of French right now. But Trump asked aides, who were the good guys in this war? And said that he didn't understand why the United States would intervene on the side of the Allies. Now, according to 3 sources with direct knowledge of these views, Donald Trump referred to former President George Bush, he was the first George, not the second, also as a loser because he was shot down by the Japanese as a Navy pilot in World War II. On Memorial Day in 2017, Trump visited Arlington National Cemetery with John Kelly, then Secretary of Homeland Security, and who would be named the White House Chief of Staff. Kelly's son Robert was a lieutenant in the Marine Corps who was killed in 2010 in Afghanistan. He died at the age of 29. Trump was meant to join John Kelly in paying respects at his son's grave, but instead he turned to Kelly and said, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" Trump angrily has denied these allegations while attacking our top military leaders that he appointed, accusing them of waging wars to boost the profits of the defense manufacturing companies in which the military buys military equipment from. Now, in 2015, said of the late Senator John McCain, who spent more than 5 years as a prisoner of the North Vietnamese. And by the way, I was in Vietnam last year. I saw the prison where John McCain stayed in. It was not a pleasant place to be, even as a visitor, let alone imagining being a prisoner of war there for 5 years. And Donald Trump said of John McCain, "I like people who aren't captured. He's not a war hero." Now, Trump, lastly, also attacked Gold Star Muslim parents Humayun Khan, an army captain who was killed in Iraq in 2004. Trump said his mother was not allowed to speak at the Democratic National Convention in 2016. In truth, she didn't speak because it was too emotional for her to discuss the death of her son. This is the man in charge of our military. He is the leader of our military. He can't honor our dead. I don't know how more disrespectful he could be as a president and as a leader.
It's literally like he's always trying to top himself. Like,
and this
he's
is
just trying to top.
And by the way, this is a man who went to a chiropractor who got a fake letter from a chiropractor in the 1960s that said he had bunions or flat feet. I forgot what was in that letter. It was either bunions, bone spurs in his feet. Bone spurs in his feet, and as a result couldn't go to Vietnam. So, the suckers were those people who did get, recruited. Donald Trump didn't. And he suckered everybody.
Yeah, he sure did.
He continues to sucker everybody.
He suckered everybody. And everything's transactional for him. Everything is transactional for him. Meanwhile, we heard from Jacob Blake. He's the black man who was shot by police in Wisconsin last month. He spoke from his hospital bed about the pain of recovery and his hope for the future in a video posted by Twitter by his attorney on Saturday. Blake said, "I just want to say to all the young cats out there, and even the older ones, there's a lot more to life. There's a lot more life to live out there. Your life, and not only your life, your legs, something that you need to move around and move forward in life can be taken away from you like this. You know what's interesting about this with Jacob Blake? He's one of the first people in a long time, a black man, to get shot unnecessarily by the police in the back to live and talk about it. We don't usually hear from the young black men who are shot, because it's usually the young black men are shot and killed. It's very sad that he lost the use of his legs. And it's also extraordinarily sad that you hear on Fox News that, he was wanted for this, he was wanted. It doesn't matter what he was wanted for.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. Nobody deserved to get shot in the back, whether he was wanted or not wanted. Nobody deserved to get shot in the back. Nobody deserved to be paralyzed. Period.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. I don't care what he was wanted for.
In front of his kids.
I don't care what he was wanted for.
Exactly. You beat me to it, Yo-Yo, because there's that part that, especially now, like, I don't know, with kids going back to school, like, can you imagine the trauma? Like,
you don't
what? In front of his children?
You don't ever get that back. Okay? That is being in what's called the zone of danger. If you're a child and you're in that area, that zone, that you watch your father being shot and you potentially were in danger yourself, that is something that you never, ever get over. It's called being in the zone of danger, and it psychologically ruins you for an extraordinarily long time, if not for life.
Yeah.
Now, he has been talking positively, which is good to hear. He said, please, I'm telling you, change your lives out there. We can stick together, make some money, make everything easier for our people out here, man, because there's so much time that's been wasted. And in Rochester, seven police officers involved in the March arrest of Daniel Prude. He was a black man who was pinned to the ground and later died, having been suspended, the city's mayor announced on Thursday. The seven police officers were suspended, The suspensions came a day after attorneys for Prude's family released police body cam video showing officers covering the man's head with a spit sock and holding him on the ground in a prone position before he stopped breathing. The police claimed that he was spitting at them and claimed he had COVID. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. The police chief has also resigned. His name is LaRon Singletary. He was a 20-year veteran. He was 38 years old. He was a black police chief, and he resigned today as well. The video provided by attorneys show officers handcuffing Prude, who was naked in the middle of a snowy, wet street, and placing a cover over his head. Now, the backstory is that he was brought to a psychiatric facility. He was released, and the brother called the police that they weren't able to control him. The police found him naked on the street, and I believe when, at least this is the police account, he started spitting at them, and that's when they put the hood over his head. That's when they pinned him to the ground. That's when he got asphyxiated.
It's wild to me that this happened in March. And we just now starting the protest about it because we don't never hear about this type of stuff. And this happened here in New York.
It's wild. That's upstate New York, all the way up on Rochester's, all the way up on the border. It's actually closer to Michigan and Detroit than it is to New York City, even though it is in New York State.
Still in New York.
Yeah.
Right.
I find it unbelievably shocking that after all of our protests, after everything that has been said in the news about this, that you have police still killing black men, shooting them in the back, putting hoods over their faces, over their heads.
That man is so unarmed. He is naked, butt naked.
I am not a police officer, and I don't know the ins and outs of police, but I can't believe that the only way in the entire world to stop a man from spitting at you is to put a hood over this man's head that he can't breathe and pin him to the ground because he couldn't breathe through his mouth. And apparently, the officer's knee was on his stomach, and he couldn't breathe through his abdomen.
I don't know if it's true, but I heard that someone said that one of the officers had put his hand over his face as well, with the hood over.
Yeah, that.
So he definitely couldn't breathe.
Yeah, that I don't know. Meanwhile, the House is preparing to vote on the legalization of marijuana this month. The House of Representatives. Did you hear this, Yonathan and Ness-quick?
No.
I don't know if this excites you or not. The bipartisan bill, it does. The bipartisan bill. I'm glad you're honest, at least Yo-Yo and Vanessa. The bipartisan bill's lead sponsor.
2020.
Yes, the bipartisan bill's lead sponsor in the Senate is Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Kamala Harris. She is the lead sponsor of the bill in the Senate, and it should most likely pass the House. I doubt it will pass the Senate. Now, if it does ever pass, and it may take a year or 2 years or 3 years to keep getting voted on until it passes, but if it does ever pass, what it would do is it would take marijuana off of the list that says that cannabis is a controlled substance. So it would become off of the list of substances that are listed under the Controlled Substance Act. For immigration purposes, why is that important? Because if it is the fact that cannabis is listed under the Controlled Substance Act that prohibits people who were found guilty of possession of marijuana from getting a green card, possibly getting deported, and certainly from entering the United States of America. What a difference it would make in many people's lives. Now, years ago, I had, if you look back at history, and history is the best guide to what would happen in the future. Gay marriage. What happened with gay marriage was that states started recognizing gay marriage, although the federal government didn't. So although states were recognizing gay marriage and they were having gay marriages, you weren't able to get a green card through a gay marriage because the federal government wasn't recognizing it. And then what happened was that enough states started recognizing gay marriage that the federal government had no choice but to recognize it. And here we're seeing the same thing. There are some states that are legalizing marijuana, other states that are legalizing it for medical usage. And eventually, as more and more states legalize marijuana, the federal government's going to have no choice but to legalize it. Because you can't have a situation where a majority of states legalize marijuana and the federal government doesn't recognize it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that was the main reason why I said I was excited. I don't even smoke. I don't. But I
you
don't,
know plenty. But you know plenty of people who
anyone
do.
Who does. Yeah, I know a lot. I mean, but one in particular, a good friend of mine who is an immigrant and who is here on a green card, has to smoke because of some kind of it's something wrong with her back, and she she doesn't like to take the medication, so the smoking actually soothes the pain and whatnot, and she can't even do that because she's afraid that she might get deported, and she's not doing it for fun. She's literally doing it because she's in so much pain. Yeah. So it sucks. So hopefully it does work. It does go through.
All right. Well, meanwhile, let's talk about coronavirus quickly, because that seems to be on everybody's mind. COVID, by the way, where's my thing here? Whoop. According to Johns Hopkins University, there's now more than 27.5 million coronavirus cases worldwide. In the United States, more than 6.3 million people have been diagnosed with coronavirus. Coronavirus, believe it or not, has killed more law enforcement officers this year than any other cause combined. At least 101 police officers have died from coronavirus, while 82 have died by other means. And celebrities are not immune to coronavirus, Yo-Yo and Vanessa. Batman has paused filming because Robert Pattinson, who is Batman now, he tested positive for coronavirus. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, our pal, and his entire family revealed on Instagram on Wednesday that they also had coronavirus. Johnson said, "I can tell you that this has been one of the most challenging and difficult things we've ever had to endure as a family, and for me too personally as well. And I've gone through some doozies in the past." Meanwhile, Donald Trump, last thing on Donald Trump, Yo-Yo and Vanessa, he's threatening to cut funding to major U.S. cities run by Democrats in blue states, states that are not going to vote for Trump anyway, on their grounds that their leaders are allowing anarchy, violence, and destruction. And it mentions specifically he's going to cut federal funding to New York City, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Washington, D.C., all cities that would never vote for Donald Trump anyway. Noticeably absent from the memo are defunding Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Kenosha, Wisconsin. Why? Because Minnesota and Wisconsin are battleground states that can go either to Biden or Trump. Now, New York governor, the only thing I find interesting about all of this is the retort by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He said that the coronavirus outbreak in New York State lays at Trump's feet. He had a press conference today. He told reporters that Trump caused coronavirus in New York and encouraged others to hold him accountable for it. He blamed Trump's incompetence as a leader for the pandemic. The reason why I find this interesting is Cuomo seems to be the only Democrat who can punch back to Trump as hard as Trump punches everybody else. Cuomo said Donald Trump caused coronavirus in New York. It is a fact. It's a fact that he admitted, the CDC admitted it, and Fauci admitted it. He was furious for Trump's belated response to the virus, and the president did not take enough precautions to stop it from reaching the shores of the United States. He condemned the president's rhetoric around the pandemic going all the way back to 2019. He went on to say the virus killed many more Americans than anything that Donald Trump or any of the Republicans were worried about on the southern border by immigrants. This nation loses more people per day to coronavirus than any nation on the globe. And you know who did that? Donald Trump's incompetence. And now they won't provide federal funding to help repair the damage from the ambush they created. The fact is, Yonathan and Vanessa, he happens to be right. And he's calling the coronavirus the Chinese virus. But the coronavirus did not come to the United States from China. The coronavirus, China, people in China went to Europe. And you want to know how they know this? Because they followed the DNA. There's different DNA strands of the coronavirus. So coronavirus did not come from China to the United States. It went from China to Europe, and Europeans came to New York because that's where most of the flights come through, from Europe to JFK and Newark. If you're in Europe and you want to come to the United States on vacation, you generally will go through JFK and Newark. And in the month of March and late February, before Trump put a ban on Europeans, and by the way, that ban should be lifted because Europe has their coronavirus under control now, but for political purposes, Trump won't do it. But he allowed Europeans to come in, and that's what caused the spike in coronavirus in New York, and then the New Yorkers spread it to the rest of the United States of America. So in fact, what Cuomo says is Trump shouldn't be calling it the Chinese virus or the China virus. He should be calling it the European virus, because it was the Europeans who brought it over to the United States of America. And with that, guys, we don't have time for fun news today. But we have hump day tomorrow.
We up there on time. We got hump day still.
We'll do hump day. We'll have some fun tomorrow. But we got to answer some immigration questions. We have a bunch of open lines right now. So if you call 1-800-529-4700, 5465 right now. You will get on our show, and I will be answering your immigration questions right now at this very moment. 1-800-529-5465. Yonathan and Vanessa, why don't you tell everybody what they need to do while I stretch and get ready for immigration questions and answers.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, you already know what time it is, especially on Facebook. I need you all to start your watch parties. This is a very easy way to get everybody on your friends list to know about the show and know that we're on right now. All you have to do is do exactly what this hand is doing. Click on share. Then it says more options. Then it'll say watch party. Just say start your watch party. It'll take the video from our page to your page, and you will be the host. You can comment, and you can talk to everybody on your page, but then make sure you bring them back to the main page and tell them to like and subscribe to the Facebook fan page and to the Facebook page, because that is a way for them to know anytime we come on. All right, so make sure you start your watch parties now. Also, keep on sharing. Sharing is caring. Click that same arrow that says share and share it to anybody's page. Copy the link and send it in a text message blast. All right, and Ness-quick, what are we going to do on YouTube?
On YouTube, friends, if you haven't already, you should be subscribed to our channel and make sure that you turn on the notification bell. Right below, you'll also see an arrow that's asking you to share, and you can share it Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, send it in a text message. I'm also missing some love in these thumbs up, you guys. I know that we could do a lot better than this. We have over 150 viewers and only 44 thumbs up. So let's see if we can work on that and get that going. Also, we're on Instagram at Brad Show Live, where you'll find the best snippets of our show. If you haven't been able to catch a full show, or if you have a friend that needs to know about this show, send them that way at Brad Show Live, where every now and again we host great contests and, again, the best snippets of our show. So without further ado, what you guys have been waiting for.
All right, Lucas has been waiting for a long time from Orlando, Florida, with a burning question. Lucas.
Hi, how you doing?
Lucas, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. What's going on?
Well, basically, what happened was I was filing for my citizenship in 2017, and I did my fingerprints and all that. And afterwards, after my fingerprints, I ended up being arrested. And it was a third-degree grand theft charge.
Right. Was that a felony or a misdemeanor charge?
Oh, it's a felony.
Uh-huh.
And so I went to court and ended up that the case got dismissed due to a PTI program.
Okay, great.
And when I went to my interview, the guy asked me for a certified copy of the court disposition,
right,
which I did not have. So due to that,
denied you.
I ended up being denied, and I filed N-336
for the appeal.
So I could provide those certified copies. But on the second interview, they explained that since the crime was committed, that I would need to wait 5 years to be able to apply again.
Right.
So my question is, if waiting those 5 years, which is, I still got another 2 years to go. If waiting that with the court disposition and all that, if I should be okay.
Absolutely, you will. You actually don't have a conviction. PTI is pretrial intervention, which means you were arrested for something with no conviction. I think the reason they denied you was because you were arrested for a very serious offense. It was a felony, even though the case the case was ultimately dismissed against you. You could try again now and try to prove good moral character, but certainly 5 years from the end, not of the time you went to court or from the time of the offense, but 5 years from the end of the pretrial intervention, when you are no longer under the purview of the court. The court says goodbye, we don't need to see you anymore. 5 years from that day, you can file your N-400, and 100%, assuming you don't get arrested again, you pay your taxes and read and write English, you'll become a citizen. My question, though, is are you married to a U.S. citizen?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm a sir, but it's okay. But boy, my voice must be very high. No, if you were married to a U.S. citizen, then it would have been 3 years. But yeah, wait 5 years.
Okay, awesome.
All right?
All right.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And another thing, should I hire you to perform the case?
Yes, as long as you call me sir and not ma'am, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm so sorry about
That's
that.
all right. I'm only kidding with you. Don't worry about it. All right. Yes, absolutely. When the time comes, 5 years from the time comes, absolutely.
All righty. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Esther in New Orleans, Louisiana. Esther. Hi, Esther.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
What's going on?
Yeah, I have a question for a friend and myself.
Okay.
Oh, let me start for my friend. She invites her brother in here, and she want to fight for her brother. Is that gonna be possible for her to fight for her brother here? Her brother is here.
If you're a U.S. citizen, you can file for a brother. Absolutely. That brother is going to wait 10, 15 years for a green card. The question becomes, what will be the law in 10 to 15 years from now? Will the brother, who perhaps overstayed his visa, be able to get his green card here? Will he be able to go home and come back? I have no idea what the law will be 10 to 15 years. But if your question is, can a petition go in now? Yeah. Will he eventually get a green card in 10 to 15 years? Don't know.
Wow. Okay. All right. Another question is my child birth certificate. When I want to have him, I had him in England. My first child I got in England, so I got him with another name on his birth certificate. I didn't put my own name on the birth certificate. If I want to fight for him, my husband want to fight for them, is there going to be any problem?
Yeah, there's a different mother on the birth certificate. So what's going to happen is when you file for him, you're going to give an affidavit that you gave a different name on the birth certificate in London, and you'll have to give an excuse why. Maybe you were out of status. I don't know. Why did you give a different name?
The first name is my name, and they use the name of the father, my baby father's sister's name, because he got the papers in England, so that's why we just use the name.
So you would have to give it a good reason why, as long as it doesn't affect that you committed fraud here in the United States. And you'll give an affidavit, and maybe you'll give an affidavit by one or two other people that you're the mother. And most likely what will happen is immigration will say, we don't believe these affidavits, take a blood test. And you'll take a blood test between you and your son, and blood don't lie. So that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Can you permit to have a consultation with you?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. All right. Let's go to Lisa in Queens. Lisa.
Hi, Brad.
Hi. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
What's going on?
I have two questions. My cousin, her mom filed for her. She's over 21, but her mom is a permanent resident, and my mom filed for me as well. My mom is a U.S. citizen. They filed around the same time, 2016, but her mother got an email that the case is approved and transferred to NVC and submit documents and blah, blah, blah. But my mom hasn't received anything from me as yet. But my first question is it true that the permanent resident category is ahead of the citizen category?
No, it should be the other way around. I'm going to read you off the visa bulletin right now. So let's see what the visa bulletin says for the month of September 2020.
So we did it 2000.
Yeah. For unmarried children of U.S. citizens, I'm talking about sons and daughters over the age of 21.
Right, that would be my mom.
Right. Actually, that is correct. Actually, for this month, they're up to September 15th, 2014. And unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of permanent residents, they're up to July 8th, 2015. So in fact, that is correct. To be at this moment, it kind of goes back and forth every couple months. But eventually,
that's a long stretch.
Yeah, it's an extra year.
Right?
It's an extra year. Now, one of the tricks, and I don't know if this pertains to you, is one of the tricks you can do under the Child Status Protection Act is if when your mom filed for you, she was a resident, and at some point after the I-130 went in, she became a citizen, under the Child Status Protection Act, you can elect to stay back in the F2B category, which would be the FASTA category.
So that was with her mom. My mom is a born American.
Oh, okay, yeah, so yeah.
That was with her case.
Your mom is
resident.
Your mom is born American?
It's my stepmom. I just say my mom.
Oh, your stepmom. Okay, because I was going to say, if your mom's a born American, you're a citizen. Okay, so I'm like, whoa, let's stop
it. That's her case, because her
Okay.
mom was a resident, and then she upgraded to citizen. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe that's
my
why.
next question is, I have my mom did it. We got a receipt, so we had a lawyer who did the paperwork. Back then, it was just 2 forms.
Right.
Like now it's 21. So my mom got a receipt notice. So but the lawyer told us that he couldn't represent us because by the time 5-6 years, when it's time to get to, he's thinking about retiring.
Okay, so you can always switch
like
lawyers.
2 years.
You can always
3
switch
years.
lawyers. When your stepmom filed for you, you were over 21 or under 21?
Yeah, I was over 21.
Okay, yeah.
I was
So
like
you can switch lawyers. Don't worry about it.
So he was saying that he's not going to able to tweak it. He's going to retire. So, but we got a receipt notice. But I wanted to know, could we bring that receipt notice to you, or do we have to try and get the file for him to see what he put on the file?
Just bring me the receipt notice and I'll get everything. Hold on 1 second. All right. Let's go to Eric in Wichita, Kansas. Eric.
Hey, this is Eric.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, so this is my question here. Some ICE agency in Wichita, they obtained a removal order against me by fraud. Like they submitted false information to the immigration court in Kansas City, and they were able to obtain like a removal order.
Who submitted false information to the immigration court? You did or somebody else?
It was ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Immigrations and Customs Enforcement submitted false information about you.
Yep.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Kenya.
Okay. What was the false information that they gave in court?
So they were claiming that they received paperwork from the university which I was going to, that I had stopped attending the university from around May 2010.
What are you trying to do? Asylum?
No. They came and arrested me and
what are you trying?
That I was already
what are you trying to
deported.
do in immigration court? Are you trying to file for asylum, or you got married to a U.S. citizen? What relief are you asking for?
No, I was just asking that if somebody is ordered removed based on false information that was turned over to the immigration court, can somebody file for stay of deportation at the district court, the federal district court?
You could always file a habeas corpus petition that you're either being held, or you can file if you're being held illegally.
No, I'm not being held.
I know. I'm just saying everybody has choices. If you're being held illegally, you file a habeas corpus that this is illegal. They submitted false documentation. Here it is, Judge. Or if not, you file what's called an APA claim, which is Administrative Procedures Act claim, that they didn't follow their own procedures by submitting false documentation. Now you got to prove all of this. But my statement back to you is, unless you have relief from deportation, okay, unless you have relief from deportation, I assume you're out of status, which means you either have to apply for cancellation or removal. You have to be eligible for a green card immediately through marriage to a U.S. citizen, or asylum or withholding or removal or something. So we got to figure out what is your relief from removal.
The deal was I wasn't out of status. I was fully in status.
But are you out of status now, or are you in status now?
Well, because I was detained by ICE for like a year, that made me fall out of status.
All right, so I think, Eric, what we need to do is, it sounds like, basically what you're saying to me is this, if I understand you. You were in legal status, in school, on a student visa, and ICE arrested you and said you weren't, and then submitted documentation to say you weren't. And as a result of that, you were ordered deported. And really what you would want to happen, assuming you can go back to assuming this is all correct and true, what you're saying, is you would then file an APA claim in district court. I presume you would do this. I would have to review your records, but off the top of my head, not knowing everything about your case, my presumption is that we would file an APA claim in district court, and you would prove that you were in legal status and ask a judge to reinstate your status back to student visa, assuming you can afford to go to school and everything. So, we would have to look at everything. So hold on one second, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's go to Shanika in Kingston, Jamaica. Shanika.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm great. My question is, if you're in the United States, right, and you're on a B1, B2 visa, you got married after the 90 days, without submitting any documents to the immigration, you can come back to your country and then fly again on your B1, B2 without no problem?
Without a problem, I can't guarantee you. Every time you come into the United States, they make an independent decision at the airport. Are you coming to live permanently or are you coming to visit? So if you're married to a U.S. citizen, the presumption is you're coming to live. If they know you're married to a U.S. citizen, the presumption is you're coming to live here. So now you have to prove to them you're not. You're really just coming to visit and you're going home. So I mean, you always run that risk when you're married to a U.S. citizen and traveling on a tourist visa.
Okay, so that was my question. Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Kimberly in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Kimberly.
Hi.
Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
Good. What's going on?
Good. Calling because I'm interested in actually filing for my son, but I'm stuck with the decision of sending him home or having him stay with him.
I don't fully understand because you're kind of like muffled a little bit. You're interested in filing for your son, and I didn't hear the rest of it.
He's there with me. I haven't started the filing as yet. However, I want to do it, but based on my living situation now, I wanted to know if by starting the process, I could still do the filing with the visa.
All right, you faded off at the end. You're interested in filing for your son. You haven't done it yet, and you want to know what status you in right now? Are you on a speakerphone? Pick up from a speakerphone. I think it's the speaker.
No, I have in a headset. Let me put it in my phone.
Are you talking into your telephone right now? I find that hard to believe, but if you are, okay.
All right.
Now I hear you better.
Is this better?
Of course. Now I can hear you. Okay, so what is the question?
Okay, so my son is visiting. He's 15 years old, and I am undecided if I should let him stay here while I'm filing for him, or if I can have him visit back and forth based on my living situation.
What is your living status? What's going on right now?
I don't have enough space.
You don't have enough space?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't have enough space, you don't have enough space. You're married? You're single? What's your situation?
Married.
You're married to a U.S. citizen. And
yes.
And how long has your son been here?
2 months.
Well, this is the answer. He's here. If you wait another, 30 days, you can file his adjustment and get him a green card. He can conceivably go home, but he's already stayed for 2 months. There's no guarantee he's allowed back. There's no guarantee what's going to happen with the U.S. Embassy with coronavirus. There's no guarantees on anything. So, I mean, for somebody to say, yeah, go home, don't worry about it, I don't know. He's your son. I'd find a room, let him stay 30 days and adjust your status, but, I'm not living there with you.
Okay. I understand.
All right.
Thank you so much
right.
for answering my
You're
question.
welcome. All right. Let's go to Ladine in New York. Ladine.
Good afternoon, Brad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I have 2 questions, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First, I have filed for my daughter that live in Jamaica in 2016, and her priority date is 2016. However, Brad, she come 25. I paid all fee. Now I became citizen, and I received an email from NVC. I don't know the difference, Brad, between hop out She was in category F2B.
Right. We talked about that. I think it was the first caller where she said the F1 category was longer than the F2B. So the answer is you want to opt out and stay in the F2B category because that's going to be faster.
Okay, so should I, cause they send me that email because they take her out of F2B, put her in F1 because of my status.
Right, you want to opt out of F1, go back to F2B. You have that right, and that's the faster category at the moment.
Okay, so if I do that, Brad, I know it because of the ban. How long would she able to join me here if I opt out of?
Assuming there's no ban, sometime next year.
Okay, so the F1 will be much longer wait?
Correct. The F1's in 2014, the F2B is in 2015.
Okay.
All right.
F1 is in 20. Yes, Brad.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Brad, and continue doing your work, Brad.
My
I'm really
pleasure.
proud of you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Maria in Long Island. Maria.
Hi, Brad. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
My question to you, sir. I'm a resident, wanted to file for my 2 kids under the age of 21. What's the process?
File an I-130. Where are they? Where are your children?
So they're in Jamaica.
Okay, file an I-130 for each of them.
And how long you think it would take?
I don't
even
know.
though the corona is an issue.
How old are they?
One is 18 and one is 11.
How did you get your green card?
My daughter.
Okay. Assuming no corona, it should be under 2 years. With corona, I don't know.
You're the one who do my stuff, so how can I get you? Because I was calling you from yesterday.
Oh, hold on. You can get me by holding on 1 second, okay?
Of course.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Tamik in Jacksonville, Florida. Tamik.
Hi, Brad. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I have 2 questions. I filed for my daughter, and I was approved. NVC sent me a notice and everything, and now I'm waiting on a visa date, like a interview date. But I won't be able to travel. Like, for example, they set the interview date for next week. I won't be able to travel. Can I ask someone to take her to the embassy, or I will definitely have to be there?
How old is your daughter?
She's 6.
No, yeah, you can have somebody take her and just give an affidavit that you can't travel.
Okay, I have another question though. I have been here for 3 years and I want to apply for my citizenship. However, my husband and I, we're still married, but we're separated at the moment. Can I still file?
No, you can't. You gotta be living with him.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right, let's go to Brandon in Silver Spring, Maryland. Brandon.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I have a question. My wife is a U.S. citizen, and she's a military. She filed for me last month, and this month I get a DUI. I got an accident with a DUI, and I take a lawyer to handle that case. Do that case affect my process?
It does. It depends what you plead guilty to. You can plead guilty to something that makes you inadmissible, deportable.
No, it was a DUI.
I said you could. You haven't pled guilty to anything yet. You don't know what the result's going to be. So you could conceivably plead guilty to something that makes you deportable, inadmissible. Even if it's a DUI that is not inadmissible, under current regulations, a DUI is automatic bad moral character, and you do need to prove good moral character to adjust your status. So you would need to overcome moral character for certain, and hopefully you don't plead guilty to something that's inadmissible or deportable. So before you do anything anymore, I would suggest not only getting a good criminal lawyer, getting a good immigration lawyer.
Okay, now that I have an accident lawyer that is handling that case. If the case is closed,
I hope you don't have an accident lawyer handling it, because an accident lawyer would be doing something for personal injury. You would need a criminal defense attorney. You have a criminal defense attorney?
Yeah.
Okay. If your case is closed, the fact that you got arrested could impact your moral character. If you're found guilty of a DUI, it is bad moral character, or you may be found guilty of something else that makes you inadmissible or deportable. So until you actually have a resolution to the case, I can't tell you. I can also tell you that if the case drags on and you get an interview and there is no resolution, you're going to be denied for having an open case.
Wow.
So you need representation. Hold on. Let's go to Miranda in Newark, New Jersey. Miranda.
Hello, sir. Blessings to you.
How are you?
I'm okay. I have a couple questions here.
Sure.
I've been here in the States for 8 years now. I have not gotten in trouble or anything like that. I'm single. I'm not married. Will because of how my status is, will I be able to apply for a work visa or New Jersey state ID or driver's permit or anything like that?
Well, you're out of status right now, so your question is, how do I become legal? I don't have the answer for you, off the top of my head, how you become legal. There's no work visa. I assume you've overstayed your visa. So once you overstay your visa, to get another visa, you got to go home and come back. Now, there's all sorts of different ways to become legal. The most obvious way that everybody knows is you marry an American citizen. Is that the only way? Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no, depending on what your particular situation is. But I think if you've been here 8 years and you're concerned about what's my next step, I'd like to make a better life for myself, you need a consultation. We'll figure it out. So hold on one second. Let's go to Rosemarie in Hyannis, Massachusetts. Rosemarie.
Hi, good evening,
Good
Brad.
evening.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I have a question. I have a niece that's she's 10-year-old. Her mother was murdered in her country of birth. So her dad took her. The dad is a 10-year green card holder, but his wife is a citizen. The question is, does the child have to be here for 3 months for the U.S. citizen wife to be able to file for her?
Is the child here now?
Yes, she is.
How long has she been here?
She's been here since June.
Yeah, I would wait. It's already June. Wait the 90 days, so there's no issue. And she'll be able to get her green card here. The stepmother will file for her.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Let's go to Mike in Denver, Colorado. Mike.
Hi, Brian. I have 2 questions to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the first one is I'm a spouse of a U.S. citizen, and I filed for adjustment of status, and that was in June, actually. Then September, my wife pulled her back, and since then she's been at home. And the company she's working for, I ain't going to pay her since she's not doing anything for now. I wanted to know if I can expect my EAD based on this.
If you can try. I've seen situations where people are, where the spouse is out of work and humanitarian reasons to expedite. You can always try to do it. And you should. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. The worst they'll say is no.
Okay. Another question is this. I'm from Nigeria, though, and there's a ban on Nigerians on getting immigrant visas. But I'm having different opinion from different people that if you adjust your status, you're going to get denied.
No,
but I've seen people that have gotten approved.
The answer is the ban is on immigrant visas. An immigrant visa is a visa that you get at the U.S. Embassy to enter the United States to become a lawful permanent resident. There is no ban for Nigerians for adjustment of status. It's completely different.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. That's what I just wanted to ask you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Arundella in Fulton, Georgia. Arundella.
Hi, Brad. Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So I filed for my mom in October of 2019. She came here on a visitor's visa December 2020. But because of COVID, she was unable to return on June 11th. for return date. So my question is, I filed for her.
You're a U.S. citizen, I assume, right?
Yes, I'm a U.S.
And
citizen.
she came
Naturalization.
here on a legal visa. Just file her adjustment now.
I can still file her an adjustment
Absolutely.
now?
Yes, even if she overstayed. And if there's ever a question,
Mhm.
she couldn't go home because of COVID. End of story. She'll get a green card here.
Okay, but would that affect the petition that I put in for her?
Well, you're going to file an adjustment with a receipt notice for that petition, so you don't have to pay for it again. You're going to use that petition to adjust her status.
Oh, so when that time comes, just use the petition
Not
to
when
adjust
that
the
time
status.
comes.
Don't do
The
it.
time is now. So even if it's
Oh,
not
okay.
approved, you put in the receipt notice. You have a pending I-130. Here's my adjustment. And if you
I
need
did file a petition for adjustment of status, but I sent in the waiver fee form, but they did not accept it. So should I?
You can't file a waiver for an adjustment. So there is
No.
there's no waiver fee for an adjustment.
Oh, okay.
So
I understand.
It sounds like you need help. Hold on one second. All right. See what we got here. Yeah, did. By the way, later in the show, I'm going to speak to Rebecca Trimble and her husband, John. The situation with Rebecca was that she thought she was a U.S. citizen. She came here as a baby. Her parents told her she was a U.S. citizen, her adopted parents. Guess what? She's not a U.S. citizen. And she learned this as an adult. So we're going to find out what her story is and how she's trying to overcome all of that. In the meantime, I do have to remind everybody that if you did not get your questions answered, you can always follow us at Brad Show Live on Instagram. If you follow me on at Brad Show Live on Instagram, you will get all of the best snippets of our show in 2 minutes or less. But if you didn't get your questions answered, I went in backwards order. If you didn't get your questions answered, you can also follow me at Real Brad Bernstein on Instagram and drop me a DM. It's the best way to reach me. And I am actually personally responding to everybody's DMs on at Real Brad Bernstein on Instagram. And Yo-Yo and Vanessa.
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Yonathan Elias TV on all social media platforms.
And you guys can find me at Vanessa.Contreras TV.
All right. So in today's Braducation, I'm going to discuss what kinds of questions are asked at an immigration interview. Let's watch. Questions they may ask you generally on an interview, no matter what type of case you're going on, are going to involve whether or not you are admissible to the United States. Many of the avenues of questioning revolve around misrepresentation, meaning that have you ever lied to the government in prior applications or this application? They're going to ask you questions about that. They're going to ask you questions if you've ever been arrested before, and they're going to want to know about those arrests if they in fact it happened, whether your arrest happened in the United States or in another country. They may ask you questions about your medical examination. If there's some inadmissible medical condition or drug abuse issue involved in your medical, but they are going to ask you questions certainly about whether or not you are otherwise admissible. All right, let's do something we like to call social media check-in. What do we got, Yo-Yo and Vanessa? We got some interesting check-ins in social media?
You do. You know, we've been off for about a week and a half, so you already know they were flowing with the social media check-in
I can only imagine. Let's get it going.
All right. Our first one comes from M. Wendy Gibson on Facebook, and she asks, if my cousin is married to a citizen and wants to bring his 2 daughters to America, can he file for his 12 and 15-year-old daughters himself if his father is willing to provide an affidavit of support?
Why not?
Okay, next one comes from Simone Harvey on Facebook. If I got my green card in February of 2016, can I apply for my citizenship now?
You got to file 90 days before your 5-year anniversary. So you're probably not at that point yet, but probably in a few months. I don't know what month and day you got it.
Suresh Vikram on Facebook asks, if my I-485 application was approved, how long will it take to get my green card?
Hopefully, in pre-COVID, 8 weeks, post-COVID, 12 to 16 weeks. Keep your fingers crossed.
Karina Figueroa on Facebook. If I petition for my husband, but since I have had to stop working and also applied for food stamps for my kids, will that hurt his immigration case?
It certainly will, because you got to be able to show that you can support him 125% above the poverty level. And when you apply for public assistance, what you're showing is not only can you not support your husband, but you can't support yourself.
Okay, Gildy Laurent on YouTube asks, how long does it take to get a response back from USCIS after filing the I-212 waiver?
Could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, somewhere in there. Months and months and months. Hopefully not years, but months and months and months and months and months.
Sabrina Sparks on YouTube. If I was granted a CR1 visa at my embassy, but waited till after my second wedding anniversary to immigrate to the U.S., is my green card category automatically changed to IR110 GC when it's mailed to us?
You're at 10. It's based on your entry. So if you enter the United States more than 2 years after the date of your marriage, then you are a permanent resident.
Okay, Tanique Evans on Facebook asks, can someone else escort my daughter to her interview with immigration if I'm not available?
Yes, we spoke to her on the phone. She called from Georgia.
Joshua Chadhari on YouTube. How can an undocumented person join the Army?
Go to your local recruiter. I doubt they're going to allow you to join. You got to become legal first. But go to your local recruiter.
Okay, Patricia Bird on Facebook asks, how long does an I-485 approval take?
For what? All I know is it's just an adjustment based on what, where, how, when, who. Give me more info.
Asrar Hassan on YouTube. How can I renew my expired green card?
I-90.
Alicia Porter on Facebook asks, can my stepson file for my husband and I?
As long as your stepson can certainly file for your husband, because I assume he's the biological father. He could also file for you if the marriage happened before your stepson turned 18.
Manturaju Durudula on YouTube. Can my husband file for my son, his stepson, even though Trump has placed a ban on Nigeria and my son is in Nigeria?
You can file. He's not going to get a visa appointment, but certainly put the paperwork in.
Roxanne Francis on Facebook asked, if my husband's waiver was denied after 4 years of waiting, is there anything you can do to help him?
Yeah, I could review the file. Everybody seems tired here. We could review the file.
No, I was coughing.
I could review the file and see what was wrong with the waiver, and we could figure it out.
I was trying to cough away from my mic. You guys caught me. Geraldine8176 on Instagram. If I have a pending I-130 and a master hearing scheduled, what can I do?
If you have a what and a what?
If I have a pending I-130 and a master hearing scheduled, what can I do?
Go to your master calendar hearing and tell the judge you have a pending I-130 so you don't get deported. And get a good lawyer if you don't know what to do. That's what you need to do.
Badir Youssef on Facebook asks, does an approved I-130 ever expire?
No.
Mahfuzar Rahman asked, if I applied for an I-360 20 months ago and have yet to hear a response, how can I inquire? Is there any way to speed up my case?
No way to speed up your case, but you could certainly write a letter. You can call immigration. There's lots of things you can do.
Kanisha Byfield on Facebook asks, how long does USCIS take to respond to a VAWA case after they've sent an RFE?
It's supposed to be 120 days, but could be longer.
Yogetta Jag on YouTube. Are I-130 applications being processed right now?
Applications are being processed. Well,
Gina on Facebook asks, my U.S. citizen daughter has a fiance and a child of theirs back in their home country. Can she petition for both of them? And if so, what forms does she need to use?
Yeah, as long as the child's under 21, you can file an I-129F petition for fiance.
Imran Khan on Facebook. While I'm waiting to hear back from USCIS regarding my green card renewal, is there any way I can get a document to travel in the meantime?
Yes, it's called advance parole. Oh, he's already waiting on a renewal?
Yes.
I-90? If he needs to travel, he can go make an InfoPass appointment. They'll give him a stamp on his passport, which is a temporary I-551 stamp. But he needs to be able to show his plane ticket that he's imminently going.
Okay, Iwu Agwo on Facebook asks, should I submit my divorce papers and the names of my children from the previous marriage when filing the I-751?
I hope you would, but you're going to have a problem if you didn't notify immigration of the marriage prior. All of a sudden they're going to say, hey, you told us you were married once, now you're married twice. What's going on? But yes, you have to tell the truth. So if that's an issue, then you got to call a lawyer.
Samir Talbi on YouTube. Is harassment considered a crime of moral turpitude violated of Penal Code 240.26?
No, it's a violation. It's not a crime of moral turpitude.
Saeed Malik on YouTube asks, if my I-130 visa interview was canceled in March 2020 due to COVID-19, do you know when my interview will be rescheduled?
I don't know. Even the Magic 8 Ball, I'm not even going to pick up. I don't know, but they are rescheduling them. I'm not sure where you live. I'm not sure what the backlog is and where you live, and I'm not sure what application it is that you did, who's sponsoring you, other than it's an adjustment. But they are being rescheduled, certainly in New York and New Jersey right now.
Okay, next one comes from Aladehu Deo on YouTube. My brother's fiance is a U.S. citizen with 2 kids, but she and my brother have a 19-year-old age gap. A 19-year age gap. Will immigration have a problem with their age difference
as long as you live together and you have a financial relationship, 18, 19 years old, it's more common than you think 18, 19 year difference. It's more common than you think these days.
Okay, gentleman on YouTube asks, my wife is a U.S. citizen and filed the I-130 for me in Texas in October of 2019, and it is since been transferred to Albany, New York field office. What does this mean?
Means it was transferred to the local office for an interview.
Bianca Galloway on YouTube. If my husband and I got married in St. Kitts, will it be an issue if I apply for a CR1 visa with the marriage certificate?
You got married in St. Kitts. Is it a problem with a marriage certificate from St. Kitts? No, not a problem at all.
Okay, Wayhera Irene on YouTube asks, I filed for asylum in April 2020 while simultaneously applying for my B1, B2 visa, but have since to hear back from USCIS with any updates. What can I do?
Well, you wouldn't file for asylum and a tourist extension at the same time, because on a tourist visa, what you're saying to the government is, I plan on going home in 6 months. And with an asylum application, what you're saying is, I can't go home, they're going to kill me. So which way is it? I think you need a lawyer.
Jennifer Nat on YouTube. How long does a Stokes interview last?
Sometimes 2-3 hours, sometimes half a day.
Sergey on YouTube asks, if my husband was issued withholding of removal, does this mean he was ordered deported? Is there anything he can do to fight this?
He has an order of withholding of removal, which means the judge says, I'm not going to deport you, but he's allowed to stay here. He's allowed to get a work permit every year, but he's not lawful permanent resident of the United States. How do you fix it? You got to reopen the case and apply for a green card somehow.
And our last social media question is from Tia on YouTube. If I filed a 601A waiver over 15 months ago, will I have to pay for the processing fee again?
You shouldn't have to, no. Shouldn't have to, no.
All
right. So I had recently spoke with Rebecca and John Trimble, a married couple who found out as they were preparing for their wedding that Rebecca, who was adopted as an infant over 30 years ago, is not an American citizen. She lived in the United States her entire life since she was an infant. Their story was recently covered in the New York Times, and we discussed their situation. Let's watch. I'm here today with Rebecca Trimble. She was adopted as an infant in 1989. She grew up in the Pacific Northwest and considered herself a regular, all-American girl. But over 2 decades later, as she prepared for her honeymoon, her life was turned upside down when she came to the realization that not only is she not an American citizen, but the government says she doesn't even belong in the United States at all. Joining me from Bethel, Alaska, is Rebecca and her husband, John, to discuss her situation, how this happened, and their fight to keep her in the country. Welcome. Where, Rebecca, did you grow up?
No, I grew up in Salem, Oregon.
When did you first find out that you were adopted?
Probably around 5 or 6. Just some neighbor kids that were teasing me, that I had looked different and such. And, I didn't look like my parents. As a kid, I guess you don't really think about, skin color or anything. And so they sat down and said, yes, I was adopted.
Now, growing up, there was no issues with getting a driver's license, going to college, and they accepted you, and you just kept assuming you were a U.S. citizen. You had a Social Security card, right?
Correct.
Now, I understand you voted in the 2008 election.
My senior year in high school, and it was like a political government class. We would just, watch debates during school and just talk about, world politics in general. And the teacher just had encouraged us to register to vote.
And you did?
Yes.
When did you find out that you were not a U.S. citizen?
So before John and I got married, we were talking about for our honeymoon, we wanted to do a road trip. And so I went to go get an enhanced driver's license, which is kind of like a bordering state to like a country, say like Canada, Washington to Canada, or, California to Mexico. And when I went there, she said that I didn't have the right paperwork. And I said, what do you mean I don't have the right paperwork? This is what I have, and this is how I got my driver's license, and she's like, I need a naturalization paper. And I was like, well, what's that? And she's like, go find out yourself. I got people in line behind me. So, yeah.
So you went to your parents and you said, hey, where's my naturalization certificate? What'd they say?
They had no idea what that was either.
Okay. So when did you guys get married?
In 2012.
All right. You have children?
Yes, 2.
2. How old?
5 and 4.
Okay, very cute. And how did you guys meet?
In high school.
High school sweethearts? Now, Becky, what do you do for a living? You work right now?
I just take care of the kiddos at home. And then I'll occasionally during the summer do a shave ice stand that we do.
Yeah, and I also understand that you help the homeless in your church?
Yes, I help coordinate meals during the winter for the homeless.
So at what point now do you say, all right, I got to deal with my wife's immigration issue? When did you guys start to deal with it?
Well, I mean, we tried to deal with it as soon as we reasonably could. So she found out a few months before we got married. And I mean, honestly, at the time when I found out, I thought it was kind of ridiculous, because I knew she had been here since she was a baby, and I was like, how can this, is this real? Like, are we really going to have to, it seemed like it would be an easy fix to me at the time,
So how'd you move from Washington to Alaska?
I went to dental school in 2013 in Portland, and then I got a scholarship for the last 3 years of dental school. That was like a federal scholarship through the National Health Service Corps. In order to pay back the scholarship that you get, you have to work in an underserved area. So just ended up getting a job up here in Alaska.
And I understand you're also in the Army Reserves as well. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do next?
We just happened to move next to a accredited representative's office, like Lutheran Community Services Northwest. And so I went in there and talked to the accredited representative, and then we kind of got.
This was not a lawyer. This was just
not a lawyer. Just somebody who has access to immigration lawyers and who helps people who don't have enough money for a lawyer is essentially what it is. She helped us put a bunch of applications together. And this was in 2015. We went through several applications. They kept getting denied for various reasons. And then in 2017, we moved up to Alaska. And at the time, we were waiting on our pending I-485 application.
You filed an adjustment of status application based on it.
Yeah, we filed that in, I believe, 2016.
And that was done in Washington State or in Alaska?
It was done in Washington State.
And then I guess when you moved to Alaska, you changed your address and they moved the case up to Alaska.
Yes.
Right. Which is why it took so long, because people who watch my show know this. When you move from state to state and you change your address, when your case gets up to the new state, it goes to the end of the line as if you just refiled it from the beginning. That's why when you move from one state to the other, you went to the back of the line of whatever the adjustments were in Alaska.
I see. Okay. So we were waiting around for a long time.
Right.
I would check on the application every once in a while, and it would be under review perpetually. Basically, it had been under review for so long that I reached out to one of the senators in Alaska to try to get it to start moving. And she tried to help us, but it didn't work at all. And then in, I believe, August of 2019, I hired our.
So we're now 3 years into a pending adjustment, but still no answer.
Yeah.
And did you have an interview at all?
We had an interview right before we moved to Alaska. So in June of 2017, we had an interview.
Right.
She talked to us about Becky's voting issue.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we moved. So we moved a month after the interview, and then that was kind of all we heard from them for about 2 years. And then in August of 2019, we hired our attorney. She didn't want to file a lawsuit right away. She said it was a odd case. She said she couldn't promise any results, but she recommended that we do not file a lawsuit immediately. She wanted to try to kind of move along slowly. She wanted to talk to USCIS in person herself. I believe she met with them twice, and they were unreceptive to her. So it kind of moved along pretty slow. And then we got her denial on the I-485, and that was like 3.5 years after we filed it.
Why did they deny it?
They denied it because she had voted in 2008.
She voted in an election. They claim she made a false claim to U.S. citizenship.
Right.
And that is why she can't get her green card. The fact that I understand there's no record of actually where you were born, the government, even if they wanted to deport you, can't deport you anywhere, because let's assume the government says you're from Mexico. We don't even know if you're from Mexico or not, but let's assume the government says you're from Mexico. Mexico has to accept you and say yes and agree you're a citizen of Mexico, but there's no record of your birth there. So the government just can't dump you off in Mexico just because they say you're Mexican. So there's lots and lots of people in the United States of America who have actually been ordered deported, but are stateless people. The government can't prove where they were born. So the worst case scenario would never come true, which is no one's going to be taking, your wife away from you. So what did you do next?
So then I emailed my attorney. She had me call her. I talked to her on the phone. I was kind of mad because they were threatening to deport my wife, who had been here her whole life, to a foreign country. She told us that the next step would be to file a motion to appeal the decision. So we did do that.
Motion to reopen.
Yes, motion to reopen. They did deny that, by the way.
They denied the motion to reopen as well.
Yeah, they did. Before that, I didn't feel threatened. And then when they sent that denial letter in February, I did feel threatened.
Uh-huh.
So I said to myself, nobody's going to come take my wife without other people knowing about this story, essentially. So I contacted the reporter in Anchorage. He put together a story, and then about 2 weeks later, he published it. I mean, that's kind of what started this chain of events,
Mm-hmm. So what did you do next?
After they denied the motion to reopen, our attorney said that we've exhausted our administrative options. Now we can file a federal lawsuit, was what she said. So we've been kind of preparing the lawsuit, but then in the meantime, we heard that Representative Don Young from Alaska was going to introduce a private bill to the House of Representatives. So that's kind of what we've been focusing on for the last little bit.
So you've been waiting on a private bill. Obviously, a private bill solves everything. So if in fact the private bill goes through and it passes the Senate and the House and Trump signs it, or whoever the president is at that time signs it, then that resolves your problem. I would say this though, when you are denied for a false claim for U.S. citizenship, you have to knowingly make a false claim. In other words, you have to know that you're not a U.S. citizen. and that you're saying it despite knowing you're not a U.S. citizen, you're saying you are a U.S. citizen. And you have to say it to get a benefit, which is to vote, to get a driver's license, perhaps, to get a U.S. passport. If you believe yourself to be a U.S. citizen, that's not a false claim to U.S. citizenship. You told the truth. I thought I was a U.S. citizen. That's a truthful claim to U.S. citizenship. You're just in error. And there's a big difference. So when the government denies you for false claim for U.S. citizenship, they have to deny you and say you knew you were doing something wrong. And as a result of that, you're not entitled to a green card. Based on the facts that you just told me in this interview, there was no false claim to U.S. citizenship. It was a truthful claim to U.S. citizenship, and you were in error, which is not a reason to deny your green card. As a matter of fact, you were adopted when you were an infant, so why would you even think that you weren't a U.S. citizen when your parents are telling you you are? Immigration made an error, either purposely or not purposely. And I'll tell you why I think sometimes they make errors purposely. Because it's a lot easier to deny you than it is to approve you. Because nobody gets in trouble if Becky doesn't get a green card. But if they give a green card to somebody who broke the law, then heads roll. And since they're unsure themselves of what the law is, they're going to make the error, if they're going to make an error, on the side of denying you instead of approving you, and immigration does this all the time. And you should know you got nothing to fear because they can't send you anywhere.
Yeah.
They can't deport you. They can't send you anywhere. You're a stateless person. There's no proof of where you're from. So even if they wanted to deport you, they couldn't. So ultimately, I would feel very comfortable that ultimately, if you follow that advice, you would get through.
Okay.
How does it feel to know that there's no record of where you're born?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in limbo, you know, kind of like unwanted, or in some ways like that, or just not cared for anywhere, I guess.
Becky, what is your American dream?
I would love to just be able to travel, to just not have limits, and to just support where I'm from and on many different levels, you know, like my community, you know, or my friends and family, my state, just, just to be happy, married, and raise my kids here.
And John, what is yours?
I'm already living it. Yeah.
Except this little nightmare that follows you around. That'll be fixed as well. Well, thank you very much. I think ultimately you're going to be fine, and I'm sure that if you have congressmen and senators taking up this case, that there will be a private bill. But just know, if not, what your next step would be. What's happened to you is extraordinarily unfair. I'm confident, based on what I've heard, that everything's going to work out for you.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful.
Yeah. Becky and John Trimble, thank you for coming on. Good luck, and thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
So she was denied her green card ultimately because she was alleged to have voted illegally. Now, on Wednesday, Donald Trump appeared to encourage people in North Carolina to vote twice. Once by mail and once in person during the November general election. That would be voting illegally. He advised doing this to double check that their initial vote was counted. Americans can only vote once per election. In response, North Carolina, I can't read that, North Carolina, way too fast. North Carolina said it's illegal to vote twice in the election, and that state law makes it a Class 1 felony. So Trump is saying you can, North Carolinian, you go vote illegal, it's okay. But this poor woman who voted in the Alaska election, she's denied her green card. Now, a public information officer with the North Carolina State Board of Elections told CNN that people do not need to go to the polls on election day if their ballot had been counted. Other states have also cautioned against the president's suggestion. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon says it's like advising someone to rob a bank to see if the security is as good as the bank says it is. All right, let's do something we like to call, what do we call this? Speed round. Gonna answer 9 questions, 50 seconds. We're going to blow this place to smithereens. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why did it just get dark? Are they getting ready for a blast?
We've been off a while, so we should.
They're getting ready to.
I know.
yeah.
Julian shut the lights off on me. I'm thinking he's already ready to blast me. All right. Ready? Let's go.
What is the I-485 application?
It's the adjustment of status application.
Can I fight for a deportation order?
You fight for one? You want to fight against it, not fight for it.
Can I apply for asylum in the U.S. right away, right now?
Yes, as long as it's within 1 year of your entry.
Is Trump's travel ban still being upheld?
Yes.
Can I get a work permit if undocumented?
If you're able to adjust your status?
Can I come to the U.S. on a fiancé visa right now?
Yes, you can.
Is Trump's proclamation suspending the entry of immigrants still being upheld?
Yes, it is.
Can I travel if I have an EAD but no combo card?
No, you need advance parole.
Can a green card holder do an affidavit of support?
Yes.
There you go.
La, la, la.
Done.
But there's an asterisk there because you asked the same question twice. But we'll still take it. Where are my balloons?
I'll take it.
Where am I? There they are.
There they are.
With the music.
With no music. I'm asking for a lot, okay? I'm asking for a lot. We got a drum roll, okay, and a bunch of balloons. That's better than, there we go. Now it's a party because we have balloons and music because we did it. All right, comments of the day, guys. Comments of the day. All right, what do we got?
All right, our first comment of the day comes from Lisa Bling Rose saying, take a page, my sisters and brothers, out of Chadwick Boseman's book, Never Give Up the Fight Till the End.
He actually lived it.
Right.
He lived by his words. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Okay, our next comment of the day comes from Sasha Ford, and she says, I have started my watch party since I jumped on. I have shared with all the available persons on my page. I am studying and listening. I really don't want to choose between the show and studying, so I am balancing both. I really miss the show and everyone on here. Welcome back, guys.
All right, Sasha. Don't fail out of school because of us, but yeah, so I like the enthusiasm.
Yes, absolutely. All right, our third comment of the day comes from Elizabeth Francis saying, caller, stop using immigration lawyers that you have no confidence in. Please just use the most reliable lawyer, Uncle Brad.
That's it. Stop trying
Makes
it with the
sense.
rest.
That's right.
You're already tuned into the best.
Okay.
I did there.
That's right.
Our last comment of the day comes from Star Girl Mika, and she says, Brad, when I get my green card, I am not even calling the show. I'm flying to New York to be on the show.
Right here,
And
Star
she can,
Girl.
'cause she's a
Right
client.
here. We got seats for you. All right.
I'm gonna have to come to the studio on that one.
You want to meet her?
Oh,
Maybe,
yeah.
possibly.
All right. Thanks all for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow for a hump day. Have a good night, everybody. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here. It's bad enough I've got to remember everything that happened on the episode from the previous day.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein Law Firm, located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And now conveniently located in Hartford, Connecticut on 1 Congress Street. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAW-LINK. 1-800-529-5465.